Hey guys, Dan here, and welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It. This is going to be the June 2017 wrap up, going over just a few of the movies I saw in June that we didn't get to do one offs of and solo reviews here on the channel. I know it's a little late, we've been putting up so many other videos, between the X-Files reviews and Buffy reviews and other movie reviews that haven't quite gotten to tackle the June movies yet. So before we do the few that we haven't talked about yet, let me remind you of the ones I did see in June that we talked about and did videos for. Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. That was a C. Okay, but actually better than a lot of the entries in the series, but still not great, but okay. Then we had Wonder Woman. Loved that. I've seen that twice now. A minus. Really solid entry. The best DC movie in a long time, that's for sure. The Mummy, which I know is getting a lot of hate, but I kind of liked. I thought Tom Cruise, was back at it again in the action role that he's always good in action, and here we go again with that. B minus is what I gave to The Mummy. I know it's getting a lot of hate. The one I truly hated was Transformers: The Last Night. I gave that an F. I think it's the worst movie of the year so far. Just terrible. And then we had a couple of cartoons as well. Cars 3 and Despicable Me 3, both just above that average line. I gave Cars B and Despicable Me a B minus. So we're going to go over 4 other movies that I saw in June. 3 theatrically, and one of them was a DVD pick. So let's start with Captain Underpants and his first epic movie. Now, I did not grow up with the Captain Underpants books. They came out, long after I was an adult. So I knew what they were. I'd heard of it, but didn't know the character or the basis or anything. But it was a pretty enjoyable movie, actually. I thought it had some good jokes. Ed Helms plays the mean old principal / Captain Underpants, and you've got Kevin Hart there as one of the kids who kind of brings him back to. Or makes him Captain Underpants, I guess I should say, puts him under a spell and makes him Captain Underpants. I forget who played the other, voiced the other boy, but Kevin Hart was in it, and then Nick Kroll plays kind of the bad guy, Professor Poopy Pants. Just, it's so silly. But it was fun, honestly. I think kids will like it. I think Thomas Middleditch was the other kid. I think it was Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch. But yeah, Ed Helms was having a really good time here with the role. You could tell he was in the voice booth, just kind of riffing, and I don't know if I would have known it was him for most of the movie. There's some scenes where he's like doing his Ed Helms thing, and you're like, okay, that's definitely Ed Helms, but he did a pretty good job on the voice, and you couldn't necessarily tell. So he's the mean old principal, and so they turn him into Captain Underpants based on this comic book that they wrote together, as best friends do sometimes. I did write a comic book with my cousin actually when I was a kid. It wasn't very good, but anyway, yeah, it was enjoyable. I think little kids will really like it because there is, as you would imagine, a lot of like potty humor with it and stuff. But I definitely got some laughs out of it, and I don't think, probably because of the Kevin Hart, stamp on it, because I didn't really like Secret Life of Pets, but Kevin Hart was like my favorite part of that movie, and I'm a Kevin Hart fan. What can I say? And I think he, kind of added his own little stamp on the character here as well, and you kind of buy Kevin Hart as like a kid, because he is very, I don't want to say animated and be corny, but like he's very boisterous and and very lively, and so you can definitely tell. But no, I thought Captain Underpants was pretty good, to be honest. It's right about in that like Cars Despicable Me 3 level, so I leave that with a B minus. So up next we had Megan Leavey, and this is Kate Mara, who plays a real life war hero, and she bonds with this bomb-sniffing dog towards the beginning of the movie, and she'd been trying to figure out a way to really get her foot in the door here in the military, and she decided to, kind of have a dog, but they wouldn't give her one right away. So there was this one dog that just seemed to hate her, and so she ended up actually with that dog, and ended up bonding incredibly and loving this dog. And she is a real loner of a person. Does not get along with either of her parents, and really just did not was not having a good life, let's say. And so anyway, that's the basic plot of the movie. But it was really good. I was surprised actually how much I liked this movie, just because I didn't really know what to expect, I guess. I mean, I liked A Dog's Purpose earlier in the year, in terms of dog movies. But then there was this military dog movie about 2 years ago called Max, which was like okay. But Kate Mara really sells this character. It's a shame that her movies tend to not do very well when she's the star. I mean, she was co-star in The Martian, which obviously did very well. But, like she was one of the Fantastic Four, and that obviously was a bomb. And then some of her other movies like Captive, and they just don't do very well. And it's a shame because I think she's a pretty talented actress. And I thought she really hit those emotional notes properly in this movie. I don't think I cried in it. It's been weeks since I've seen it, but I definitely got emotions were stirred, and I got choked up in it, because basically halfway through the movie, I don't know if this is a spoiler really because they show it in the preview, but halfway through the movie she basically gets discharged because she is very injured, and the dog also gets extremely injured, and no one will tell her what's going on with it. She doesn't know if the dog died or what happened. So it's just the last half of the movie is really her trying to track down the dog and find out if she can have him and keep him, if his service is done, if he's still alive, all of it. And so, yeah, I think it rings out a lot of good emotional aspects. I think the script is good. It's compelling. The action sequences are pretty cool, too, with, the bomb sniffing and mines and all that stuff. And you can really tell that she had a connection with the dog. I'm talking about Kate Mara. They had a good, I guess, chemistry, you could say. But yeah, so I really liked Megan Leavey. That one for me is a B+. Up next is The Last Word. This is the one I saw on DVD. Came out in theaters, very limited release in March. So I didn't really get to see it then, but it is available now on Redbox and on DVD. It's with Shirley MacLaine. She's basically a very, very rich woman who is facing her death at some point, and possibly some point soon. So she decides to try to get a good obituary written about her, except nobody really likes her. She's not a very nice person. So she taps the one newspaper reporter, played by Amanda Seyfried, to basically shadow her and write her obituary and make it flattering. And so she goes and tries to be a better person. And this movie, I was just talking about Megan Leavey with the the emotional stuff there and hitting all the right notes. This one kind of misses the mark in that aspect. I think they really try to tug on those heartstrings a lot in this movie. Sometimes it's okay. I mean, look, Shirley MacLaine is a great actress. She's, been doing it for 50, 60 years. She is a talent, for sure. And she does well with the role. But, we've seen a bunch lately of these movies where it's like older woman, being paired with a youngster in whatever capacity. We saw it with Grandma, with Lily Tomlin, Sally Field in Hello, My Name is Doris. Susan Sarandon did one. I can't remember. Was it The Meddler? I think it was. And so there was another one. And this might be the worst of all of them. It's not horrible. Like it's not the worst, but for this sort of subgenre that we've had a few movies in the last couple of years, it doesn't ring as true as the other ones. It's not very funny when it goes for it. Amanda Seyfried is she's okay in some movies, and here she's just kind of, her character. It's not necessarily her fault. I don't think her character is quite that well developed. And then the McClane character, she's developed, but she's just so unlikable that sort of by the end it's like, okay, well, you've kind of redeemed yourself, but that was only after 80 years of being a big bitch. So it's like, I don't know if I really felt that bad for her or thought it was that believable. It's engaging. I mean, I was never bored with the movie, that's for sure. And like I said, McClane is a great actress, and she gives a great performance. But it's the material, I think, that's not quite up to speed on this one. So I leave Last Word with a C. And finally, we have Rough Night. This is the latest R-rated comedy for the summer, and it stars a whole bunch of people I really like. Scarlett Johansson is the lead, and she plays a woman who is going for, I forget what office it is, mayor, I believe, but she's going for some political office, and in the meantime, she's about to get married, so she has this bachelorette party coming up that her best friend from grade school, Jillian Bell, who plays her, is throwing for her. And so it's everybody coming together from college. I guess maybe they're all college friends. Zoe Kravitz is in it. Kate McKinnon comes on board with a hilarious turn. She, just like she usually does, she steals the show completely in this movie. And it's the ladies from Broad City, basically, that are bringing it to you. One of them directed it, and one of them stars in it. And I personally am not a huge fan of Broad City. I don't think it's that funny. I know people love it. It's not really my bag. And she's probably the weakest of the bunch in the film as well. But the movie's okay. It has some good laughs, but it also plays a lot on the raunch humor that sometimes I like and sometimes I don't. I think it depends on how it's done. I did not care for it, like in Baywatch, for a recent example. But it can definitely be hilarious, when it's done well. And I think in spurts it's done well here. But then there's Demi Moore and Ty Burrell from Modern Family, who play this sexed up couple that own the beach house next to the one that they're renting for the bachelorette party, and that stuff goes nowhere. I didn't think most of that was funny at all. But each of the girls does bring her specific kind of humor to the role. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, not necessarily known for her comedy, but she she's been in funny movies before, and she gets some good laughs here. Jillian Bell usually brings the funny. Fist Fight, she was good in that, and 22 Jump Street, and she's kind of funny here. But Kate McKinnon steals the show. She does a great accent, and it's Australian, I believe. And the other girls, Zoe Kravitz and Broad City, I honestly forget her name. It's Elena something. Elena Douglas, maybe? That's a different actress. Anyway, I apologize. But yeah, Elena from Broad City. Her and Zoe Kravitz, I would say, are the weakest of the bunch. They kind of have a little lesbian back and forth college thing. And I don't know. But anyway, it was okay. I give it a C+. I think there's definitely better comedies this summer, but it's better than Baywatch for sure. I definitely got some laughs out of it. So, especially if you like those actresses or that kind of sort of raunchy bachelorette type humor, I think you'll enjoy it. So that's a C plus for me. So that's going to wrap it up for this month's wrap up, I guess. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Check out all the other videos. There's ton of standalone reviews, both with me solo and me with Merlin. There's a bunch of TV show reviews. Buffy episodes are up. X-Files episodes are up. So check everything out. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And check us out on Facebook too, which is Dan Reviews It. And the Twitter feed at Film Fanatics Pod. Harkening back to the old Film Fanatics days. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.